For the Bird is our third jazz-influenced blues. This one, again, is in the key of F. Keeping them in the same key and keeping them with the same vibe so you can really get a good idea of how to approach these type of blues progressions. Though, when it comes to tempo, this one's going to go up. There's going to be a lot of 2/5s coming at you, both inside and tritone sub-2/5s. But a lot of the ways the 2/5s are played are going to be pretty straightforward. You're going to see what I mean in a second. Let's go to the first chorus and go through one so we can check it out. Here we go. So the progression has a lot of 2/5s. There's a lot of 2/5s that set up 2/5s to get to a destination, which is called backcycling. And we're going to check that out big time coming up. But let's take a look at it here, though, briefly. Starting this off with just a good old F major chord. I think it's about the only one you're going to see in here. This is a spread voicing, which means closed voicing that has the middle note knocked up an octave. So instead of 1 3 5, it's 1 5, and a 3 that would have been in the middle of that has been raised an octave. Very, very cool voicings. They're also called open voicings. So from there, we jump right to E minor 7, and that starts it. This is a 2/5 in D. So E minor 7 to A7. That's 2/5 in D, and that's exactly where we go. But that D is a 2/5 to the C minor 7 that's coming up. So we have D minor 7, G7, which sets up the C minor 7, which is a 2/5 to the chord we're going to, which is the 4 chord in bar 5, as we always do, at least with the 12 bars. So C minor 7, F7. Now you can see it's the same fingering, it's the same voicings. So the voice leading is easy to grab onto. The top note goes down a half step, chromatic, until we finally get to our destination, which the target chord, a good way to, as cool as this sounds, instead of being completely predictable, it's very cool for you to shift things and go up to the 4 chord here and change the voicing scheme. And also, it's not easy to play that down here and keep it clean, considering the open string. So it's good on both ends to make the shift. So once you're here at the 4 chord, in bar 6, just like we just saw in tritone, things get different here. We're not going to play the 4 chord for 2 bars. Here we're going to play B flat minor 7 to E flat 7. Now what's going on here is we're going to have chromatic 2/5s. So we're literally going down in half steps. 2/5 in A flat, 2/5 in G, 2/5 in G flat, which finally ends on the 2 chord. Very nice setup, and you can just look at it just as simply as that, chromatic 2/5s to backcycle the setup to the 2 chord that happens in bar 9. Then we get a nice conventional 5 in bar 10, and it's local, so nice local fingering, voice leading is good. And then we're just going to stream through the chords voicings we've already played for a 1 6 2 5. Nice and inside. Let's go over to the second chorus, where we're going to take the same exact changes, and we're going to just shift the position of a lot of the 2/5s. We're going to start off with a different voicing for the 1 chord. We're going to play a 6, but we're going to just shift the position of these 2/5s and switch things around a little bit so to give you another option. So here we go. So, like I said, it's the same exact progression. Little changes here and there. The first chord was an F6 instead of the spread voicing F major that we were doing before. So it's just 1, 3, and 6. And to keep everything clean here, my thumb's coming over to mute out the low E string. My first finger lays over anything that it's not playing that's above it, any higher strings that are not being played. You're going to need that because you got a lot of motion in your pick hand if you're trying to cop this Freddie Green style, Count Basie legendary guitarist who pretty much gave us this comping technique where you're what I call 4 on the floor. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I put emphasis on the 2 and 4, as you can hear when it blows through, but it's just a succession of downstrokes. So we start our back-cycled 2 5s in bar 2 like we did in the first chorus. Instead of playing them here with the succession of the same voicings, we do it here. We play over here. And we're going to come down and play E minor 7 to A7. Same thing, top note is common here. And it's going to keep doing the same thing. So you don't have the chromatic movement that you had before, but there's still pretty tight voice leading going on here. That leads us to the 4 chord, which in this case, very tight coming out of the F7 to this B flat 7 over F. This is a first inversion, B flat 7. Has no root, but it's a 5, flat 7, and a 3. Now from there, we're going to make that jump up to here, up to the 11th position, and we're going to start our chromatic 2 5s with a different voicing scheme. So basically what we did is we switched the ideas. In the first chorus, it was 5th string to 6th string based 2 5s. And then when we played these chromatic 2 5s, it was 6th to 5th. Now in the second chorus, our first set of 2 5s, the back cyclers, were now the 6th to 5th. And now the chromatic 2 5s are 5th to 6th. So we make that run down chromatically and get to that target of G minor 7 in bar 9. Play that local 5, nice voice-led C7 from the G minor 7, and then just like we did in the first chorus, recap with a 1 6 2 5 with the same voicings. So let's jump right over to the third chorus. We're going to stretch things out a little bit more on the first chord. Now we're going to play 6 9. We're going to play it 2 different ways at 2 different spots. And then we're also going to take a look at another way to finger these 2 5s, another voicing, which gives us another fingering setup, and it's one that really lends itself to when tempos get really, really fast. We're going pretty good here, though, at 164. So let's do it. Third chorus. Here we go. So as I said, the 1 chord becomes an F6-9. So we took that second chorus, 6 chord, and put the 9 on top. So the G makes it. If you're looking at it and it looks similar to an F dominant 9 or an F9, and it exactly is, all you have to do is play around here with the flat 7 as opposed to the 6. You either have an F9 or a 6-9. In this case, we have the 6-9. From there, we start our descent of back cycling 2 5s. This time, instead of playing it with this voicing like we did in the first chorus, where we have 1 flat 3, kind of taking the concept of the spread voicing like we did in the first chorus. You saw an F. And I was telling you this is an open or spread voicing where the 1 3 5 root position closed voice chord got its middle note thrown up. Well, this middle note is getting thrown up an octave as well. This E, G, D, which is an E minor 7, no 5th, putting that G up an octave, and you get this voicing. Now the cool thing here is you can finger it 2 different ways. If you really want to get something quick, this fingering, shift it over to the 6th string, plays dominant chord, so you can get this. And that can really lend itself to the really quick tempos. So here's your 2 to 5, 2, 5, 2, and 5. A little weird doing it down there, so you might want to finger it this way. You can also do it this way. This is nice too. Your hand falls right into the 5 chord this way. You keep your 3rd finger on the 3rd string and move it down a half step, and then just drop your 1st and 2nd finger to make the dominant chord. So that's your back cycling 2 5s. That's your approach there. Still good voice leading too. I mean, the middle note is still making that chromatic movement, even though the top notes are doing this. It works. Then from there, we jump back up to the 4 chord as we did in the first chorus, same voicing, but it immediately jumps over to the minor 7 flat 5 sub. So a D minor 7 flat 5 sub, giving us a first inversion B flat 9. And then we shift over to a different approach for the chromatic 2 5s. What we have is minor 9. Minor 9 with the 7th in the bottom, flat 7 in the bottom. And all we do even though it looks like a little bit more work than it is. Take the lowest note of the chord and lower it a half step, and that gives you 9 add 13s. So B flat minor 9 over A flat to E flat 9 add 13 over G. And we keep doing that. Watch it though when you play the chromatic 2/5s, especially this set. It's a little, you could, if you're not watching, take a second to think about this, to nail that change instead of doing something, where you might go down a whole step and end up doing that to get to the next 2. So it's just this. And you just continue to make that movement until you get to bar 9. Same voicing for G minor 9 over F. And there's your 9 add 13 over E for C, the C9 add 13 over E. To finish it off, we do the 1-6-2-5, but this time we're going to introduce new voicings, unlike we did in the first and second chorus. And we're also going to change the 6-9. We're going to put the 5th on top, because that's going to become the common tone. So F6-9 to D minor 7 add 4. My personal favorite way to voice a minor 7 add 4. If you're a Funk Fission fan, you've definitely seen this chord. That jumps over to a G minor 7 add 4. Right from the root, you got 1, 5, flat 7, and 4 on top. It could be called an 11 too. You could call it that. And then hop up here to a third inversion C7 at 13. But the whole time, you have that on the top. That closes it out for our trio of jazz-influenced blues. What we're going to do now is shift over back to an 8-bar blues. We're going to shrink that bar count one more time, and we're going to take a standard blues progression, taking a standard tune, and we're going to mess with it a lot. So let's jump over to Jonesin' for Trouble.